The SAO Underworld war begins. You got Fanatio going all out, but only after suffering a heavy toll. So what's up guys, Foxen here. SAO Alicization, War of the Underworld Episode 6, The Midpoint. Not only Fanatio, but Sir Flames burned brightly this episode. So hit that like, ring the bell, and let's dive into this juicy SAO episode. At the start, there's the Dark Territory side. You got the new chief of the mountain goblin, Korogi, which is actually one of the sons of the previous goblin chief. The wolf ogre leader dude with the crossbow. What a good boy, very prepared. I did like that you got this pre-war overhead overview. It really reminded me of my MMO days, either waiting for this huge raid to begin or a massive Guild War 2 launch. On one side about 50,000, then over on the human side about 3,000. Recall that little movie 300? Similar vibe here. Even on the human empire side, you got a shot of each of the different Integrity Knight units. There were a fair chunk of you asking why Kirito the Broken was so close up. In reality, Tisa and Roni should have Kirito near the supply line, which isn't too far. The anime made it feel like they were right behind the Integrity Knight army. Although let's be fair, that purplish light should have been shining up the whole area nearby. Right here, notice the date, November 7th, the date the gate has fallen. The date should actually sound familiar. This was also the exact date the original SAO was cleared. Oh my god, is that a Kayaba reference? But anyway, the War of the Underworld has begun, all thanks to Emperor Vector's command. Not mentioned in the anime was this skull thing. This was actually something provided by the Dark Mage leader, and as you saw, it allowed Gabriel to give orders to each of the Dark Territory leaders. Naturally, the first group being sent forward would be the goblins. This included the mountain and field goblin variety. Also notice some giants and orcs there too. In total, 10,000 goblins, 2,000 orcs, and 1,000 giants. I don't like those odds. Not mentioned in the SAO anime was how this was actually a strategy suggested by the Dark Mage leader D. Unsurprisingly, that wicked leader wanted to use these guys as sacrificial pawns. A little bit later, she wanted her group of mages to just light up the place from afar. As for Sir Flames here, you had the guy having this ring flashback, really him recalling back to his forgotten loved one. You first saw the scene back after Eugeo turned him into a freaking popsicle. In the anime, you got the sense that this was his current determination. What wasn't mentioned was this dream he kept on seeing. He actually never told anyone about it, otherwise Quinella's clown would mind wipe him. That ring you saw was actually the same one he woke to find as an Integrity Knight. The depressing reality was that this dear person was no longer part of this world. You know, about 70 years being the max for a non-Integrity Knight person. Getting into the actual Crimson Integrity Knight assault. I really can't be the only one thinking it. His visual display of force definitely has to be among the best. Time to farm some barbecued goblins. I almost started feeling bad for the little bastards getting nuked. Come on, someone just get behind him and keep on making him arrows. Next up, Mrs. Sniper Fanatio, getting in that position. Fanatio really just wanted to take out one of these Dark Territory leaders from the get-go. Take out the head and you'll get a temporary advantage. Unfortunately, Miss Fanatio missed. Or did she? I was betting the anime wouldn't dive into the details. So quick abridged version. The giants in the Dark Territory side have this massive superiority complex, really aided by their size. They look down on not only humans but every other Dark Territory race. However, in this moment, this giant leader realized that he was the one being hunted by this female knight, not to mention about to get killed. In those few seconds, fear indulged his very being, and he stumbled back, which is why Fanatio happened to miss. It actually wasn't this giant fella dodging on purpose. Lucky bastard. Then for Fizzo and Linneo, the lolis are back. It feels like the anime added the scene just to give some commentary on the war groups. On top of this, to give some establishing shots. From this, you got little bits of foreshadowing, as well as some pretty obvious next plans for these two troublemakers. Remember, say no to lolis. Anyway, getting to Eljude's group, the goblins his army was facing were much brighter. The goblin leader here knew they were being put out to die as part of the first assault group, so why not just make it harder for them? They actually planned the smokescreen strategy to allow them time to attack their supply chain. That way, they could hopefully avoid a head-on fight, and hopefully avoid getting killed too. Then afterwards they'd be able to circle back when more troops came in. Clever little bastards. Anyway, back to the Crimson Integrity Knight versus those generous bags of XP. Hey, you have Eugeo Senpai making a cameo. Hopefully for the Human Empire, there's some XP share going on for this party. Anyway, getting into Mr. Giant over here. So what the hell was going on with him? Was it a glitch in the Matrix? This was actually something similar that happened to the past slimy noble dude. At this very moment, the giant's self-image of being the superior being came in conflict with the fear he was feeling. Ultimately, it led to a partial collapse of his light cube. Unlike Ryo's, this giant just got hulked out, consumed by his rage and hatred. That hatred then reached all the way to Fanatio's light cube. In other words, you really had this giant incarnation that was binding down Fanatio. That was why she couldn't move. The anime really left this more to your interpretation. Then for Dakira, my god, did the anime capture this moment beautifully. Poor Dakira, arms crushed, legs too, then helmet, then head possibly too. Her body completely crushed to save her beloved Fanatio. I did love that they're definitely not shying away from showing blood here, unlike some certain anime. Some backstory cut out here, but I will get back to this soon. Then for Fanatio's revenge time, she really cut that Titan bastard like a Jedi. And how freaking badass was Fanatio? They really saved their money shot for Fanatio this episode. Come on, fingers crossed, announce that Fanatio figure. Switching it back to the Crimson Integrity Knight. Briefly, you did see some of the goblins carrying some burnt up goblins. Some of these goblins figured out that their leader was only a dumbass who would only keep charging in, which was why some of these goblins took up some fallen green buddies to use as this barrier to get closer or just to reduce damage. Then for the Crimson Integrity Knight switching to Blade mode. Not a divine weapon, but something still forged by Quinella. So sure, a group of these guys were no problem. Unfortunately, these Integrity Knights aren't used to fighting multiple enemies at once. All they ever fought before in the past has been one-on-one fights. This guy definitely was not ready for those surprise or cheap tactics that the goblins used. It really felt like this level 100 player not knowing how to really use his account. Newly added for the anime was Eugeo senpai being that random soldier helping him out, or that tried anyway. But never count an Integrity Knight out. Such a freaking badass moment here too. Bastard, did you forget? I only carry arrows with me. Oh yes, I got such a Quincy vibe from this moment, using the sword as a final arrow. Goblin Slayer approves of this win. As for Broccoli's cameo this episode, had to get an update on the war situation. I like how the Captain Commander's just chilling in the back. But just know, this guy is waiting for a certain moment. Tick tock. As for Alice in the sky, oh my god, is Alice using a spirit bomb? In the previous episode, you already had Fanatio hinting at Alice having this key purpose in the war. Honestly, you might actually already have a good guess as to what Alice is up to. Find out next time. Then the nutless Integrity Knight who just happened to run away, and on top of that abandon his unit. What a damn coward. This guy is definitely not Shinan. I actually wish they showed this first, then switched to Alice in the Sky. That definitely would have been a way better to end this episode. Especially no post-credit scene. Anyway, this whole episode definitely highlighted Fanatio and the Crimson Integrity Knight's fight. Fingers crossed that they're able to keep up this level of animation till the very end. Next up, getting into the light novel changes going into the SAO anime, changes or cuts. The highlights. I think it's now become a game for me, which backstory or details will be cut out. For backstories, there was some detail cut out for the new Goblin Leader and the now dead Dakira. So first off, Integrity Knight Synthesis 22 Dakira. She was actually the only one you heard speak before when Kirito and Eugeo were doing their tower climb. Dakira loved Fanatio so much. Eventually, she became part of Fanatio's groupie, known as the Four Whirling Blades. You would think these four were skillful. However, Fanatio actually gathered these knights together, who were at a questionable risk of carrying out solo missions outside. Fanatio taught them teamwork to improve their survival chances. In other words, this four team up of these knights was this loser squad. Dakira herself ultimately became an Integrity Knight at the age of 16. At least, that's when she committed a taboo, which involved loving another female who was a year older. What a surprise, the church doesn't love you playing for the opposite team. Dakira actually never confessed, but instead asked for forgiveness at an empty church. Unfortunately for her, Quinella's wonderful senate was listening in. Dakira actually thought that Fanatio resembled the girl a bit that she once loved. Then for something cut out for Fanatio. In the novel, Fanatio actually put Dakira down, then her heaven-piercing blade rose from the ground into her right hand. In other words, hinting at Fanatio using the incarnate arm, just like Eugeo and Broccoli could do. So let me mention, I did love the whole Fanatio display at the very end, although this could have been a nice cherry on top of that Fanatio sundae. One final thing about the poor Dakira. The SAO light novel did mention how she bridged the gap between herself and Fanatio, really having her body become this beam of light. You got that a little in the anime. When reading this actually felt like a callback to Asuna doing something similar in SAO Season 1. Recall the time that Kirito got paralyzed. Realistically, Asuna was way too far to make it to the dying Kirito's location in time. However, Asuna still made it in the nick of time. Then for Eugeo senpai, whose name I forget. So you finally got some dialogue from this guy in this episode. The anime now added this guy to the Crimson Knight team. I do like the guy being included here since they skipped over him earlier. By the way, definitely don't miss my videos on the top SAO fights ranked. Did your favorite make the cut? I think after this episode, I might have to rethink that list. For anyone also curious about Asuna, I do have a video on when Goddess Asuna will make her Underworld debut. But more importantly, I definitely want to hear down below what you loved from this episode the most. Was it the Crimson and Charity Knight and his barbecued goblins? Was it Fanatio or her loss and then her plus ultra win? Or some other awesome bit? Chime in down below, watch these juicy videos, and I'll see you guys later.